Alright, so in this video it's time to download and install the IDE, Integrated Development Environment, that we're going to be using in this course. And just a reminder before we proceed that this video is for Windows. Check out the other videos in this section if you're on a Mac or you're running Linux. Alright, so what we need to do is visit jetbrains.com, and they're the people who are responsible for the product called IntelliJ IDEA that we're going to be using in this course. So once you get to their website, I come up here to Tools, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to click on IntelliJ IDEA. And when that screen loads, I'm going to click on Download. I'm going to close down this little box here, which is a cookies pop-up you may have seen on other websites. Click on Yes, I agree to close it down. Now you've actually got two versions that you can download. The Community Edition over here on the right hand side, you can see it says that it's free and open source, so you will never need to pay for it, and that's the version that I'm going to download and install, and the one that I recommend you use for the course. So I'm going to click on that. Give it a moment to start, and you can see down there it's starting. I'm going to click on Run, and while that's downloading I'm just going to click on Back and talk briefly about the differences. You can see that the Ultimate Edition is a commercial license, so it's not open source and therefore not free. So you can grab that if you want. It's got a lot of extra tools and capabilities, and it's aimed at professional developers. You do get a free trial. JetBrains give you a 30-day trial, and if you want to extend that trial to 120 days, check out the Extend IntelliJ Ultimate Edition lecture, which is right at the end of this course. You can go there and get a code to extend it by another 90 days. That's only if you want to use the Ultimate Edition, but in our case we're going to be using the Community Edition. You don't need to do any of that. I'm going to close down the browser because we're going to go through the process now of installing IntelliJ IDEA. So I'm going to click on Yes here, and now we've got a standard wizard, and I'm going to go through the steps to install it. I'm going to click on Next. I'm going to click on Next again, accepting the default destination folder. Now when you get this first screen, it's important to get this bit right. In the last video, you saw me establish that for me, I was on a 64-bit operating system. So up here under Create Desktop Shortcut, I'm going to click on 64-bit Launcher. If you were on a 32-bit operating system, you would choose 32-bit Launcher. And in addition to that, you'd also come down here and click on Download and install JRE x86 by JetBrains. That's only if you're a 32-bit user. In my case, I'm a 64-bit user, which we established in the last video. I'm just clicking on 64-bit Launcher and not selecting that. These create associations, I suggest you check all three of those. And that just means that if you've got a file with any of those extensions, which is basically some Java code, Groovy, which is another language, and Kotlin, if you click any of those, it'll open up in IntelliJ. So I'm going to click on Next, click on Install, and that's going to go through the process of installing IntelliJ IDEA on this computer. And just to note that if you did have a 32-bit operating system and you selected to download the JRE, you'll find that that will take a while, and that will increase the time for completion of this installation process. But in my case, again, I was on a 64-bit machine and didn't need to do that. Alright, so I'm going to pause and let this finish, and we'll come back once it's complete. Alright, so at this point now you can see that the installation has completed. I'm going to check the checkbox so that we run IntelliJ IDEA and click on Finish. And you can see that's actually popped up. Now you can't see that too well, and that's because what I've done is I've actually upsized the windows so that they fit better. We can see things a little bit more clearly, but that hasn't worked too well for this particular dialog. What that's basically telling us is that there's an option for you to import IntelliJ IDEA settings from a custom location. Now that would be if you had a previous installation of IntelliJ IDEA and you wanted to restore all the various settings. But in my case, this is a brand new installation on a brand new machine. So I'm going to select the option Do Not Import Settings and click OK. Now, depending on your location, you may or may not get this option on screen now about JetBrains privacy policy. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here in any case. I'm going to click on Accept. So if you get that, just accept that. And in terms of data sharing, you can change the behavior of that and send usage statistics to JetBrains. I'm going to click on Don't Send. Alright, so at this point now we've got the option of choosing the theme for IntelliJ. Noting that it's telling us down there that we can go into the settings and change this later. I'm going to select the white background, which is good for video, but you might want to select dark color, but the choice is yours. And then I'm going to click on next. And what IntelliJ allows you to do is install a variety of different tools. We don't need any of these tools at this point of the course, so I'm just going to click on next. But you can install anything there if you wanted to. And likewise for the featured plugins, we aren't going to be using any of those either. So I'm going to click on Start Using IntelliJ IDEA. Alright, so at this point now we've done the basic installation of IntelliJ IDEA. What we need to do as a once-only process is we need to associate the Java development kit that we've previously downloaded and installed with IntelliJ so that IntelliJ is able to access and use that Java development kit. The way we're going to do that is we're going to click on Configure, we're going to click on Project Defaults, and select Project Structure. And that brings up this screen here. And if you're installing IntelliJ IDEA for the first time, you'll probably get something similar to me than what you can see on the screen here with no SDK. And just in case, sometimes IntelliJ opens up down here under SDKs, just make sure you click on Project if you see that. So over here, what that's saying is there's no SDK. SDK means Software Development Kit. So it's just telling us that we need to define and set one up. To do that, I'm going to click on New. Then I'm going to come over here and select JDK. Now in some cases, IntelliJ IDEA will automatically find the version or the Java development kit that we installed in the previous video. In this case, it hasn't found it for us. So what we then need to do is navigate to the folder where that was installed. I'm going to come down here and click on the triangles there. And if you recall, it was C:\program files. Then it was Java. Then it's JDK11. So I'm just going to click on JDK11 there. Now, if you happen to have downloaded the 32-bit version of Java, which was Java 8, you will most likely have a JRE, which stands for Java Runtime Edition, and a JDK folder. In that scenario, make sure you select the JDK folder that you can see that I've got selected here. I'm going to click on OK. And you can see that something happened up here, and we've now got an option. We've got no SDK, but we've now also got this option here, Java 11. So that would obviously be Java 8, if that's the version you downloaded. Then the other thing you'll need to do is, depending on the version, you want to match the project language level to the version you download. So in my case, it's set currently to 10. I'm going to change that to 11. That's for Java 11. And then we need to click on Accept here, which will probably disappear in a future version of IntelliJ because the Java development kit is so new as of the time that I'm recording this video. Now obviously if you downloaded Java 8, you would select 8 here, which would match the version that you've downloaded. But in my case, I've selected 11. I'm going to click on OK. Okay, now at that point, what we've done is we've now installed or configured the Java development kit to work with IntelliJ. There's just a few other settings we need to do now, which are once-only settings, which just makes life a little bit easier for you when you're starting out with Java with IntelliJ IDEA. And to get access to those, we're going to come down here and click on Configure, select Settings. And when that comes up, we're going to go down to Editor and select General. We're going to open that up there, and I'm going to select Auto Import. And what I'm going to check is these two boxes here, which is Add Unambiguous Imports on the fly, as well as Optimize Imports on the fly for current project. And we'll be talking more in a future video as to what they mean. For now, just check those. And the other thing we want to do is come down to Appearance. We want to make sure that line numbers is checked, which it is by default, but make sure that is checked. Then the last options we want to set are under here under Code Folding. And what we want to do is do a few things. We want to actually take the checkbox off imports. So we're not going to collapse imports. We want to uncheck the one-line methods. We want to uncheck closures. Then we want to uncheck generic constructor and method parameters. Now, if you're new to Java, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but essentially what we're doing here is we're setting ourselves up to not get or to make sure rather, that the editor, IntelliJ, doesn't hide any code. As you become more experienced as a developer, you'll want to hide portions of the code to focus on what you're working on. But when we're starting out, we want to access and see everything. So this is the reason why we've actually unchecked those options so that all the code will actually be shown. All right, so finally I'm going to click on OK. And we've now saved all those settings. At this point, we're ready to start programming. So we've successfully configured IntelliJ IDEA, and we're now ready to move on to the next video. And just a reminder, to get access to that next video, you can skip the next 4 videos because they're installation videos for the Mac and Linux. Go to the video after that that's got the title First Steps. I'll see you in that video.